Hello, 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 hello. How are you guys? I am Kimberly. Many of you know me. For those who do not, I am Kimbrough-Edwards, also known as Dr. K. And I am here sharing my very first podcast. And it took me a while to do this. Let me tell you why. Number one, I just wasn't feeling it. Like I wasn't I wasn't I wasn't in the right headspace. Let me say it like that. I could see myself doing this, but I really wasn't in the right headspace. The reason why I decided to go ahead and do this is because I believe, number one, that this is something that I am called to do. And I'm not talking about podcasting, but I'm called to share. I am called to share the things about life because I have experienced life on levels that I and others believe that no one else has. And it's like they say, we're here on earth not just for ourselves, but there are so many people that we can inspire by our stories. And so I have a plethora of stories, and not just stories, but I don't want to use the word testimony. I don't want to sound so churchy. I'm just being real. Just what it is, okay? I just life. I have my stories are not, and I say stories because, stories, okay, let's talk about stories. Stories can be fictional, they can be non-fictional, right? You have some things that are true, some things that are not true. My stories, it's life. My life is, it's real. The things that I have endured, the things that I will be sharing with you over the course of the next, I don't know, few months, years, however long God will have me doing this, it's real. Like, I have dealt with some real stuff. So I'm not going to be coming to you talking about things that I've heard or things that I've just witnessed, but these are things that I myself have actually endured. And I'm hoping that they will encourage, inspire, uplift, motivate, elevate, some people. Whoever you are, this is not for everybody, and I'm okay with that. I really am. But for those who this may be for, this platform may be for, welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So a little bit about me. My name, again, is Kimbrough-Edwards. Some people call me Dr. K. I have a background in education. I taught middle school for probably over a course of 17 years. And I enjoyed it. I did. Towards the end is when I started getting burned out. Not so much from the students, but just the whole environment of education, the political side of it, the testing, the discipline or lack of when it comes to being in a classroom and looking for that support system to really help you as an educator to bring more life into the classroom. So I kind of got burned out at the end, but I do have a background in that. And then also, I have a background in what we call educational leadership. And that's basically an area or a doctorate degree. It's a professional degree that you earn when you are looking to be in a position of a leader. With the degree that I have, the doctorate that I have, it's similar to a PhD, but it's a little different. The PhD focuses more on the research. The doctorate that I have focuses on the research, but then taking their research and actually putting it into practice. So that's the doctorate that I have. So yes, I am Dr. K. I earned that, like, real talk. I don't embrace it enough. Like, for example, when I graduated in 2022 with my doctorate, I did not celebrate like most people should and do. I did not throw myself a party. I did not do graduation pictures. Like, I didn't. But as I'm getting closer through the years, I'm like, girl, you need to do something. And so I'm going to celebrate me. But again, we're going to get more into all of that a little later. So that's a little bit about me, educational background. I have a bachelor's in science. I'm sorry, not a bachelor's in science. I have a bachelor of science in professional writing. That's my undergrad degree from University of Houston downtown. Woo woo! Shout out to the Gators. And then I also have a MBA, which is a Master Business Administration. And then I have my doctorate, my EDD. And now, yes, girl, you still going? Yes, I am. Those that know me call me a lifelong learner. I am forever in school. I don't know. It's just my thing. So right now I am getting ready to graduate in just a few months with my LPC and my LMFT. Yes. So I am but I am in the career field of a therapist, and I am loving it. I've been bootlegging for years. Those that know me, that have called me several times for just for a listening ear advice, that's been me. I'm that girl. I'm the one that they call, and I got a listening ear. I got some good advice, and yeah, I've been that girl. So I've been bootlegging y'all for a long time. But real talk, I am a therapist. Yes, I am, and I love it. I love my clients. I love the whole concept of being a therapist. I love the ideal of being a therapist. I love helping people. I love helping to change lives. I love listening to the different stories. I do. So this is my area for sure. Now, that's out the way. Today, with this being my first episode, I want to talk about trauma. Why trauma? Because I feel as though that's an area that we don't talk about enough, especially in my culture. From what I have endured, what I have witnessed, not just in my family, but in other people's families as well. We don't talk enough about trauma. And when you think about the word trauma, right? You think about this your psyche, right? Your mind, the psychological aspect of it. And trauma is basically, it's these events that took place in your life that you have some form of emotional response to, right? Thinking about trauma. Trauma can be from sexual violence. It can be from physical violence. It could be you having experienced death of a loved one. It could be losing, your dream job. It could be getting your heart broken by someone you was in love with for years, and it traumatized you. It could be a fear of something, I have, don't judge me, y'all. I do. I know my husband's going to be like, yeah. I have a fear of frogs, but more so I have a fear of lizards. Now, my brother, yes, Tirona, Jose, I'm talking to you, traumatized me when I was a little girl. He would pick up things like frogs and lizards, and he would literally chase me. Now, he didn't catch me because I was fast, but he would literally chase me with these little creatures. And I am about to be 50 next month. I know. You? Yes. All of this, about to be 50. Girl, you looking good. Yes. But he traumatized me. He did. With chasing me down with these little creatures. And so to this day, when I see lizards, I'm traumatized. To the point to where the other day there was a lizard that got into my house. Now, I have a lot of bushes and trees and things around my home, so yeah, they just love to live there. But when I opened my door, one got in, unknown to me, right? And I was taking down some decorations from Christmas. Yeah, I know. Girl, Christmas was way months ago. It was, but I celebrate the holidays to my liking. So anyway, I was taking down some Christmas stuff, and there was there was a lizard in one of the little wreaths that I had. And I didn't realize, I'm just going through the things, and all of a sudden this thing run across my dining room table. And baby, listen, the way I took off from my dining room to my stairs, and I stood on my stairs, and I watched the lizard. I watched the lizard move from one spot to the next spot, and I'm like trying to think about how can I get this lizard out of my house. But I'm terrified because this lizard has me in such a place where I'm standing on my stairs, looking downstairs, watching this lizard, and I'm standing there probably for, no lie, probably for about 30 minutes. Like, I just didn't want to move. Like, this is a little bit of lizard, but I didn't want to move. This lizard had me hostage in my own home, y'all. Like, I was traumatized. But I need some water. But again, when we're talking about trauma, yes, it could be something as, and some people say, girl, a lizard. Yes, because remember, this childhood that I had, I was being chased by my brother with these lizards and these frogs, and I never really got to, I guess, stand up to that or face that fear. And so it traumatized me. And all these years, like, yeah, I see lizards. I don't care how big, how small. I'm taking off for the hills real quick. Coming out the shoes. Like, I'm gone. So, but anyway, trauma. Another thing that I experienced with trauma is the loss of my baby boy. I have 3 kids. I have my daughter who is the youngest and my only girl, and then I have 2 boys, my middle boy and then my oldest boy. My middle boy we lost in 2017. He battled with a lot of depression, which most of us, we deal with depression. We'll talk about that maybe later or maybe another episode, but he battled with severe depression, and I at the time was not really knowledgeable about the different stages of depression, onset depression, depression, major depressive depression. I wasn't knowledgeable about it. I wasn't educated about this. And so I missed a lot of signs. And he was suicidal, and he did make a couple of attempts that I witnessed myself, that I know of myself. And unfortunately, like I said, we lost him. He graduated in 2016, and that following year is when I got the phone call that he was no longer here. And that was very traumatizing to me. That was some trauma. And it affected not only me, but his siblings and his cousins and his aunts and his uncles. It affected us a lot, his friends, his classmates, his teachers. And but that's another area of trauma, loss of a loved one. I've been through a lot, guys, like a lot. And we can't get into it all in one episode, but I just want to give you a little background about what I mean when I'm talking about trauma. Now, getting back to why it took me so long to do this. I am the type of person who I consider myself to be one of the most transparent persons that you will meet. And those that know me, I believe, would say, yeah, you real, you upfront, you are transparent, and I am. I believe that, I don't know, I think different. I see a lot of stuff on social media, right? And I see things where people are beefing. I see things where people, let me get out of my head, because I'm not talking about this Super Bowl with the Drake and Kendrick Lamar. But that came to my mind when I said beef, and I immediately thought about Super Bowl. But I'm not. Look, we're not doing it. We not. We're not doing it. We're not. But anyway, I see things on social media where people are beefing and people are going back and forth about just about a post. You know, you post something and somebody in the comments got something negative to say. It can be a beautiful post. It can be a loving post. It can be an inspiring post. And you got what they call trolls, and somebody just on there saying something very negative, right? I'm of the mindset like this. I love to see when someone posts something and I read through the comments and I see all these uplifting and you know, good job, or oh, I love this, or you look beautiful, or that's great. And then you go down a little further and you see somebody saying something negative like, oh, that was just dumb, or what was your point in this, or you know, just saying something that has nothing to do with the post, but they just want to put their input and just be noticed. You know, we make negative comments because we trying to pull something from the person that posts it, as well as from the people who are reading the post. We're looking for attention. Let's just be real. We're looking for some form of attention. But when I see the negative responses from people, I love that when the person that made the post don't respond. I love that. I love it. I'm gonna tell you why. I don't have to accept your response. And there's an old saying where people say, what you think about me, that's not my business. That's none of my concern, right? That's me, like, for real. Now, that doesn't mean that people say things about me and it doesn't bother me or I don't think about it. But it doesn't control me. It doesn't dominate me. It doesn't define me. What it does is it opens my mind up to a level of what are they dealing with? What type of trauma have they gone through to where they have made a living out of searching out beautiful posts that they can go on someone's page and say something negative or derogatory or demeaning or just hateful and evil. So I read these things and I'm like, man, I would like to meet this person. That's me. I want to meet this person. I want to dig deep and figure out, where's this coming from? Why are you like this? Why are you so offended? Why are you so bothered? Why are you so mean? Why are you so hateful? Why are you so angry? Why are you so frustrated? Like, yeah, that's me. Like, I want to know. So I love to read posts where someone posts something and someone comes in, trolls and says something negative. They don't get a response from people. Because the more you respond, you're feeding that thing. You're feeding into that, right? And again, they could be saying something negative because they obviously have dealt with some type of trauma. And it's, they haven't, let me say it like this, they have not dealt with their trauma. And this is their way of camouflaging that, or putting on this facade, or hiding behind this persona, but again, that's not me. People are going to watch this and they're going to be like, I didn't like it, or they're going to have something bad to say. And that's okay, because again, this is not for everybody. And I can't get caught up in what people think, what people are saying, and what they like and what they don't like. I don't. So that's just my little tidbit on that. But I want to know, when you think about trauma, like, what comes to your mind? What comes to your mind when you hear the word trauma? Do you think about an ER room? Do you think about a relationship? Do you think about your marriage right now? Do you think about your children, your grandchildren? Do you think about the job that you have right now, the career? Do you think about your business? Do you think about your finances? Do you think about your parents? Do you think about a car accident? Do you think about being touched as a child or being touched as an adult? Do you think about sexual abuse in the workplace, the workplace that hasn't been dealt with, that nobody's talking about, right? We don't, we don't want to talk about that in the workplace because, again, what's going to happen? Will they believe me? Am I going to lose my job? What's the process of fighting this? Is it worth it? I want to know. Let's talk about it. When you think about trauma, what comes to mind, right? For me, it's not just the loss of my son. It's not just the things I went through as a child, being touched inappropriately. It's not just about my brother chasing me down the street with these creatures, but it's about life. It's about getting up out of the bed every single day and facing the day. For me, like I said before, it took me a minute to do this podcast, to actually come on and start talking, because there have been days where I don't want to get out of bed. And for me, that does stem from trauma. Well, why don't you want to get out of the bed? There are some things, psychologically that are going on in my head that's just going, and it won't stop. The conversations when I lay down in my bed in the morning, I'm like, girl, get up. But all these little conversations in my head when I'm trying to rest at night and I'm having to take melatonin or some form of sleep aid because I'm not sleeping. Trauma. It's real. When I think about actually facing the day, what does my day look like? And I could plan my day out. I'm going to get up tomorrow. I'm going to have my cup of coffee. Those that know me, I love my coffee. I'm going to have my cup of coffee. It's going to be a great day. It's going to be a fantastic day. And before I finish my cup of coffee, I'm just standing there looking like, okay, what are we doing here? Trauma. It's real. Now, some people may say, but you're a therapist. You counsel people. You talk to people. You do know that therapists have therapists, right? Yeah. Well, what's the point? The point is this. I'm going to say there's many sides, but I'm going to say two main sides, right? The one side, me as a professional, yes, I'm a therapist. I counsel people. I have conversations with people to a degree where I am not so much about diagnosing them, because the therapists, they diagnose, but pulling things from the root from that person to understand the root cause or the stem, right, of where this started from. So there's one side of it. People are sharing their stories with me. I'm giving them feedback. I'm listening. I am, providing treatment plans. I'm doing my progress notes. I'm documenting. I'm doing all of the professional things that a therapist does, right? I'm thinking about, do this person need to be on medication? Do this person need further psychological evaluation? I'm professional therapist. But if you can imagine as a therapist, if we're sitting there going through, 10, 15, maybe a day sometimes, it could be a week for some people, depending on how many clients you're seeing. But my point is this: when you are sitting there, and let's say you've gone through about 6 or 7 people a day, you're listening to these stories. And some of the stories, like for me, some of the stories are very traumatic. They're sharing their trauma with me. If I'm listening to these different stories every day, you think I'm just going to go home and I can just whoosh, Just leave it there. We're taught to, right? We tell people all the time, and in general, whatever job you have, don't bring your work home. Leave your work at work. That's what they say. But when you go home, did you really leave it there? Did you really leave it there? You telling me that when you walked out from your job and you walked into your door, it's no thought at all in your mind. It's like it's an afterthought. Some people will say, "Girl, yeah, but when I leave work, I leave work." I hear you. I hear you. When I was an educator, first few years, I was going home with my books and papers and everything. Towards that fifth year, when that bell rang, matter of fact, before the bell rang, because I'm watching the clock. If the bell ring at 3:15 for a release, we had to do it at 3 o'clock. And I'm in the front of the line. No lie. That was me. Yeah. Gone out the door, leaving work behind. But that doesn't mean that when I got home, my body didn't feel the tension from work. My brain didn't say, "Whoo, girl, I need me a glass of wine," right? For those who are in education, let's be real. A lot of us as educators, we were like alcoholics. We were. Ask any educator who been teaching for years. Do they have a favorite happy hour? I guarantee you they do. Some of them during lunchtime. Yeah. Teaching would yeah. If you're not a drinker, just teach for about a year or two. Some people say, "Girl, three months." 3 months in, I was looking for the nearest glass of wine. Yeah. But yeah. So, but when you get home, is your body not trying to come down from work? It is. Is your mind not trying to come down from work? It is. So even though we leave work there, when we get home, there still may be a thought of how my work day went. Did I close that deal today? Or I did close that deal today, right? Should I have eaten there for lunch? Did I say the right thing to that person? Did I say the wrong thing to that person? Was I successful at my job today? Are they going to fire me today? Right? So when you come home, so getting back to my point of being a therapist, when we take in and listen to all of these different stories from people, yeah, that's a lot to take in. And so a therapist should have someone that they themselves can talk to release and get all of that off of them. That's the smart thing to do. That's a professional thing to do. Because if you're taking in all this trauma from different people every day and trying to deal with your own trauma, you'll be a mess. I mean, you can't sit and properly diagnose or properly counsel someone or provide therapy to someone or even build a therapeutic relationship with your client when you yourself sitting there thinking about all the trauma that you yourself is dealing with, and they trying to share their story and you tell them more about your story, because therapy is about that person. It's not about you. So you never want to go into a session where you turn that session into your story. You make that session about you. That's not a good therapist. The session is about that person. They're paying for that hour, right? They're paying for that. So yes, as a therapist, we have therapists. We have counselors that we ourselves see, and that's a smart thing. So having said that, again, when you're thinking about trauma, I don't want you to think about it in this big broad spectrum of something that's as far out as seeing someone get murdered, right? I want you to think about it in terms of everyday life. And I say that because I want to work with you on being able to process your trauma. And in order for you to process your trauma, you can't just start with, okay, when I was 13 years old, I was raped by my uncle. You start with that, right? And it's just like, okay, Well, how far back do you want to go? Because that's big, right? That's big. I was raped by my uncle when I was 13 years old. That's big. We want to start here. We want to start here. Here is right now today. You was raped by your uncle when you was 13 years old, but let's say right now you're 25 years old, right? Where are you right now today? Not saying that when you was 13 back then, that's not important and that doesn't matter. That's very important. We want to get there. But let's start with where you are today, and then let's work our way back. Because we want to start here, because I want to know the mindset that you're in right now. I want to know if what you experienced when you was 13 years old, is it affecting you today? Are you able to sustain in a relationship? Are you 25 and you're dating someone that's twice your age, someone that's in their 50s? It could be a connection from the fact that you was 13, you was raped by someone who was, I don't know, maybe in their 20s or maybe in their 30s or 40s, maybe even older. And now here you are 25 years old and you only want to date older men. I'm just saying it could be a connection. But the point I'm saying, point that I'm trying to make is that with trauma, we want to start with today, where you are right now. What are you thinking about today? Where's your mind at today, right? How did you make it through your day? What was your day like? And then we want to start pulling out the little connections and pulling the little pieces out to try to build the puzzle to see if what you went through back then plays a part in what you're doing right now. So that's what I mean when I say, when we want to talk about trauma, we want to process the trauma, we want to break it down. We don't want to just start with, okay, so you was raped at 13 years old. Let's talk about that. Right. Well, maybe the person's not ready to go back to when they was 13 years old and start living in that space. But we can start right now and we can work our way to that. Because once we get to the root of why your behaviors are the way that they are, right, then we can begin the healing process. Because now we are at a place to where we're openly talking about this trauma. We are openly talking about the emotions that we experienced during the trauma. We're talking about how that trauma is affecting us today. And we're getting to the place to where their trauma no longer dominates our life. Because trauma can have you stagnant. You know, you can be in a place where you don't want to go so far. Like for me, again, and I hate to sound redundant, but it's taken me a minute to just literally sit down, get in front of this camera, get on this microphone and begin to talk to you guys. And people that know me be like, girl, not you. Cause you know, you bubbly, you upbeat, you know, you are a people person. You love talking to people. And I do. But I don't want to say I don't like people. I've said that a lot. Like, I don't like people. People take offense to that. Like, what you mean you don't like people? I could be in my house all day just by myself. And I'm okay. Why is that, Kimberly? I could be in the house all week and not have gone out, maybe as far as, I don't know, to the store, pick up some eggs or something. I know, girl, eggs is expensive, right? I know they're expensive. I heard you. They're expensive. But I could be in the house for a whole week and maybe I get out and go to the store and come back home. And I'm okay. I'm okay. I don't have to be around a crowd of people. I'm okay. I like being at home. I do. People say that's an introvert, right? But there are times where I do like getting out. One of my favorite things to do is dance. I love to dance. I love dance. I love going to the little I don't want to call them little juke joints, but I love going to places where there's line dancing or there's just really good music where I'm just on the dance floor all night. Dancing is therapeutic for me. I can be at my house in my kitchen and put on Alexa and baby, we gonna dance, and it's just me in the house and I feel good about that. But yeah, there are times where I may sit in the house for a whole week and I'm like, okay, Kim, you need to get out the house. Or I have someone call me and be like, you need to get out of the house. Like I have been to that place. Not so much lately because now I'm more in the office and I'm dealing with clients and I'm counseling people. But on the day that I do have off, yeah. But even before I got into therapy, I could sit in the house for days and I'm okay watching Hallmark and I'm good. Why is that? Because that also stems from a place, and it could be something that's connected to trauma. I don't know. I haven't really started to break down every aspect of my life. There are some things that I am beginning to take note of and be like, that like this comes from someplace. My husband, my soulmate. Love you, boo. Yeah, shout out to my baby. Love him. He is truly my soulmate. We've known each other since we were kids. He was 10, I was 11, and we went through this whole thing called life where I went my way, he went his way, and we came back full circle. When we're still in our 40s, but in our early 40s we reconnected, and it's just like, yeah, it's a beautiful thing. But there are things that I find myself doing with him, and I'll stop and I'll say, okay, Kim, that stems from something. And then I start to pull a piece by piece by piece to break down where that came from, because I want my marriage to sustain for years to come. And it is, and I believe that, because that's my soulmate. But I want a healthy marriage. What's a healthy marriage? A healthy marriage is two people who are connected on different levels. Emotionally, you're connected. Physically, you're connected. Financially, you are connected, right? Let's talk about it. You're connected on so many different levels. It's not, babe, we have good sex. We have good intimacy. That's good. But y'all always bickering and arguing when it comes to finances. Why? So I'm talking about a healthy marriage. And it doesn't mean that you're not going to have disagreements. You're going to have disagreements. Disagreements is what helps you to really understand each other. It helps you to identify those areas that do need work. It helps you to pinpoint the work that needs to be done as a couple, right? And also as individual people, because you come from two different backgrounds. I come from a background where it was a struggle for me. How I grew up, moving around a lot, changing schools a lot, not experiencing living in a home, but living in apartments, whereas with my husband, he experienced, they lived in a home, and his parents have lived in that home since he was young, right? He's grown up where his parents are still married 30 plus years, however long it's been. My mom is my mom. And I love her. That's my mom. I'm going to leave that right there. We'll talk about that another day. Trauma. I'm talking about trauma. But we come from two different backgrounds. But when I talk about a healthy marriage, I want a healthy marriage. So when I start noticing things that I do or that I say, I begin to pick those things apart, because again, I don't want my past or my trauma to affect the healthy connection, the healthy marriage that me and my husband have right now. And I'm grateful to have someone that I can sit down and I could pour out and I can be real about my trauma. And he don't use that as a reason to belittle me, or he don't use that for his benefit. Been there, done that, where I have been in relationships and I've shared some of my trauma, or I've shared the things that caused me to be sad, or I've shared my tears and they were used against me. I don't have that no more, thank God. I'm with someone who I can be vulnerable with, and he embraces me. I can cry on my husband's shoulder. I can have days where I'm in a bad mood, or I'm just feeling frustrated, and my husband is like what's going on? Like I know some off, some ain't right. Let's talk about it. And he don't use it against me. He don't hold it over my head. But yeah, so when I'm noticing some things that I may say repeatedly throughout my marriage, I take note of that. Why do you always say that when y'all get into a disagreement, or when your husband tells you that you're beautiful? Why is it hard for you to accept that or believe that? Trauma. It's real. So I want to hear from you. I want to know, again, when you think about trauma, what comes to your mind? Not only that, but how have you been dealing with your trauma? Do you hide behind it with shopping? Do you do a lot of shopping? When you have a thought that comes to your mind that reminds you of something that hurt you, or something that triggers you, do you immediately start shopping, whether online, or you get in your car and you go to the store and you just start buying stuff? Sex. Are you hiding behind sex? Sleeping with this person, that person? Something triggers you and your first go-to is, I just need to be held. I need some sex. I need some intimacy. I need to be with somebody right now. It could be your spouse. It can be your partner. But your first go-to is sex. I need a drink. The moment that thought comes into your mind, the first thing you do is grab a drink. Just think about it. No judgment. No judgment. Smoke. I need to get high right now. Things start getting rough, a little pressure, right? You've had a trying week. Your first go-to is, I need to light it up, light it up. Do you club a lot? Every weekend you out somewhere clubbing, partying. Every weekend? Every week, but every weekend. There's no balance in between. Like maybe one weekend I'm gonna go, to a club, and then maybe the next weekend I'm gonna go see a movie, and the next weekend I'm gonna go visit family. I'm just saying. Just notice your patterns. That's my point. Notice your patterns, because those patterns are connected somehow to some form, some level of trauma that you have not processed, that you have not dealt with. It's the truth. Why do you keep going back to that same relationship? Why? You know you're better than this, but you keep going back to it. Why? Trauma. People walk all over you every day They're making jokes about you. They just been, very demeaning towards you, and you laugh it off. You in the office, they just calling you fat, calling you black, dark, cracker, whatever. Calling you gay, lesbo, all of these things. And you don't stand up for yourself. You either laugh it off, or you walk off somewhere, or you just sit there mute mouth. Trauma. It's the truth. You have this failure of commitment. He loves every inch, every ounce of you, inside and out. But you refuse to commit to him. You refuse to marry him. You refuse to accept his engagement. Why? Trauma. She is the perfect woman for you. She checks off all the boxes. But you want, or you choose to be a playboy. And you make sure she see you being a playboy, because you're hoping that it'll somehow push her away, and it'll make her go be with somebody else. But she's still just standing there waiting on you. And you just like going from one woman to the next, to the next, to the next. Trauma. You have damn near gone broke. New fillers, lips, cheeks, breasts, BBLs, tummy tucks, liposuction. You hair transplants. All you have done it all. And yet you look in the mirror and you still try to figure out what else can I change? Like, I don't know what else I can. Something's still missing. Like trauma. We got to deal with our trauma. Why? Because the goal is to move beyond the trauma. Trauma can hold you back. Trauma can keep you from being the best you that you could possibly be. Trauma can keep you from making that big deal, selling that big $1 million property. Trauma can keep you from the best relationship that's ever crossed and will ever cross your path. Trauma can have you in a chokehold to days where you can't even barely breathe. You're dealing with anxiety. It's like you're being suffocated. Trauma, Trauma can, man, it can take you places that can be hard for you to find your way out of if you don't deal with your trauma. So I'm going to end with this. Over the next few weeks, I would like to walk through trauma with you. I want to see you be the best you that I know, and other people know that you can be. And we're going to do it together because I have trauma that I deal with. And I faced one of mine today just by coming on here and sharing my trauma, some of my past experiences, and some of my fears with you. I'm processing. So we're going to walk through this together. I'm Dr. K, and I am here for you, even though many of you I don't know and many don't know me. But if you stick with me, we will get to know each other, and we're going to have a wonderful, fabulous time. So, having said that, I would like for you to visit my website. It's thereislifeafter.org. That's ThereIsLifeafter.org. Yes, I just spelled it all the way out for those who was like, what did she say? Thereislifeafter.org. That is my website where you can learn a little bit more about who I am, my background, what I do, and the story about my son that I lost many years ago. And, just get to know a little bit more about Dr. K. And you can also look out for my YouTube channel. This will be uploaded on my YouTube channel as I am starting this new journey. And again, for me, it's more about sharing my story. It's more about inspiring and motivating people, because there's somebody out there that needed to hear this today. And if, I was able to help someone, then I'm happy about that. So again, I look forward to spending time with you and talking about life. Today we talked about trauma, and the next time we'll dig in a little bit more with trauma. But over the course of time, we're going to talk about life. We're going to talk about, my relationship and how me and my husband reconnected, and what I went through in my past 3 marriages. Girl, you was married 3 times already? Yes, this is my 4th and last marriage. Yeah, we can talk about it. How I got from that to this. We can talk about it. We can talk about me being a mother and what's that's like, because that's been a challenge as well. We can talk about me being a Cammy. Yeah, I'm a grandma, but I call myself a Cammy. My name, Kimberly, Kim, and then Grams, right? Granny, Grams, and then mommy. So I'm all 3. I'm their Kim, I'm their mommy, and I'm their grandma. So I'm their Cammy. That's me. Isn't that cute? I know. But we can talk about, me being a Cammy and my little heartbeats and what's that's like. We can talk about being a therapist and what's that's like. We got so much we can talk about, girl. So much. And I'm looking forward to it. Okay. So it was nice coming on tonight and being able to share my story with you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed our conversation. And again, I look forward to just more dialogue, more conversation, more communication, more life. I'm going to bring some people on some of my episodes, and they're going to be sharing with you their experiences as well. And yeah, it's a lot to look forward to. So have a fabulous night, fabulous evening. And I'm Dr. K. Bye-bye.